that fine? Okay. I just wanted to be sure it's right. Okay. Any other questions before we get started? Okay. Is it playing already?
It's playing.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the 14U legendary and infamous meeting. The reason I say that, we have 14U 8th and 9th grade. So you guys end up, your experience has been very similar in travel ball up to this point, and then it splits. And then it comes back together. But when you come back together, you come back as different people. Because the people who go to 9th grade all of a sudden feel like they should be playing at 16U or 18U. When the reality is they're under compelling players right now at the 14U level. But when they go to high school, then they go, I'm around older now, therefore I must personally be better. I'm all of a sudden 1 month later way better. I can't possibly think of playing with those lowly 14-year-old 8th graders. So I'm just priming you for the kind of stuff that occurs from the transition from 14, 15. Really what happens is you start your 14U fall happy coming off of your 13-year-old year. You're on the big diamond. There's continuity. You have a little bit of rhythm. The rhythm gets taken away as you go into high school. And then as you go into high school, things change for you. Now you're in the upper division. So for head first, the lower division is pre-high school. The upper division is high school age. So you're at that transition point. So part of what we're trying to do today is explain how head first handles transition as you go from lower division to upper division. And again, for you guys, some of you guys are going to go to high school sooner than others. By the fall, by summer, all of you are in the same place. And then as you go into the fall, you're also into the same place. But to bridge that from the spring, you guys are going to be in different places. So this is the same presentation I've given to a lot of different groups, a lot of the same slides. Some of them are different. So it's important for me, for having an audience like this, as well as the people that are watching from home, that they understand more about just the 14U experience. The truth is, for most players, for the 9 and 10-year-old group that I had earlier, do they care at all about what 14U baseball is right now? Not at all. Is it relevant to them? Yes, in the future it will be. Is it relevant for them to understand the details of it? No. The macro concepts? Yes. Therefore, what I want to share with you guys is a little bit, this is a group that I ran last summer, which is called the Berkovich 35 Collegiate Team. We're in Alaska. We're in Fairbanks, Alaska in that picture. Very cool experience. We didn't have a team prior to last summer at the 18U level. We brought it back. We traveled to Alaska. For some people, they're like, wait, the Alaskans play baseball, a lot of baseball? We didn't play against the folks from Alaska. We played against other folks from the lower 48 who are current college players who go to Alaska to play folks from the lower 48 who travel to Alaska. The point of why I have it up there, it represents the major leagues of the Head First organization. That's the pinnacle. That's as high as you can. That's as high as you can go within the organization. So for you guys to even understand, because it's hard to know in different organizations, or for someone watching, they may be in an organization that they have a 14U team. They don't know if they're going to have a 15 or not, and then like they don't know what happens after that. They go to high school and they kind of are trying to put one foot in front of the other, and they don't really know what it looks like. By contrast, for us, we have 18, 17, 16, 15, 14 within Head First at multiple teams at every level, and we have had it for a very, very long time. The next slide. Before we go to that, there's actually a different slide that I want to cover a little bit of. And I'm going to fly through a couple of these because I think it's relevant for you guys because you're on the verge of high school and some of you guys are in high school. And these are some slides that are from the upper division slide that I just want to go through very quickly. The reality of players, this is from the upper division. And again, since some of you guys are 9th graders, there's a little bit of crossover. So in 2019, in the 2019 grads alone, we had 30 players go on to play college. So from one grade level. So consider all of the current freshmen that by the time you guys are seniors, the number that we just had last year was 30 that went on to play at the collegiate level, 15 of whom went to four-year colleges, 15 plus that went to junior colleges. Some of the guys who went to junior colleges more compelling than some of the players who went to the 4 years. They just chose to go the junior college route in order to get to their 4 year. In the 2020 class, we have several players that are currently committed, along with a lot more. The reality is the 2020 grad class will end up looking like this. And the 21 class will look like that, and the 22, and the 23, and the 24. And that puts us into a lot of you guys. This is the last slide from the other one that I want to mention. The significant thing here, these numbers on the bottom, in last year alone, we had 50 different colleges. This is through Headfirst alone. This is not going to different organizations or different events that are out there, going to Arizona for events, which we did go to other events. Just the events where we said, we have a lot of good players. We want to bring colleges in to recruit our guys. We had 50 different college coaches that attended Headfirst showcases and tryouts last year alone. Those 50 college coaches represented over 30 different colleges. So again, if I'm a young player or parent, that becomes relevant information. Partly because then at least you have to say, well, they have experience. They have been doing this for a while. We have had success at doing it. We also have swung and missed a lot. So a lot of what we do is based on, this is intuitive, it seems like a good idea, it didn't quite work, we're gonna revise it. And we've done that for a very long time now, and we come out with a more purified process. None of them more confusing than the one we're gonna dive into right now. So the 14U player team process. So the current teams are gonna practice through January. So you guys are all on teams right now, and new players, you're either getting into the system immediately, or you're watching for the purpose of placement after January. So there's gonna be an evaluation tryout on MLK Monday, which is the 20th. So that's the first big thing, or new thing. Like MLK is eval day. The location is Sycamore Valley Park. By the way, the teams that you have known and loved in the past are about to be over. They're done, and they don't come back, and that's just how baseball works. The reason I say that, you add one new player or take one player out of your current mix, and it's a whole different team. So if you're on a team that you haven't loved and you're looking for more or different, that's coming. If you're on a team that you like and you wish you could stay together the rest of your life, it's not realistic. It's just not realistic in sports. There could be a group of guys from that team who end up staying together and or a common coach, but just the same teams. I just want to throw it out there because people often ask, you like our team, can it be the same? And the answer is, like, even if we wanted it to be, it's not realistic. So we're gonna do a workout at Sycamore. There's no cost for people who are currently in Headfirst. It's for all 14U players that are 8th or 9th graders. The spring placements are gonna follow these evals for 8th graders and those not playing in high school. Those not playing in high school could include guys who are homeschooled, guys with academic situations, guys who don't make the team, all kinds of stuff. People who freshman year didn't know exactly how to do it, didn't get their paperwork in. There's all kinds of reasons that guys end up not playing high school baseball. We just want you to know that there is a place even within the 14U tournament circuit for you guys to play. Summer placements are, so again, spring placements are going to follow for 8th graders, summer placements are going to follow for 9th graders. So another thing that is important, so some people go, well, I've been in the system for a while, is it important or relative to do an evaluation? Because you guys already kind of know what I can do. Especially at your age, you change so much in a short amount of time. The evaluation process, it would change every single season if we had changes every season. In other words, somebody who didn't perform quite so well in the past, that blossoms. Someone who was an early bloomer, who hit their peak at 12 and is holding on to it, where we thought was going to be compelling, who isn't. Someone who grew a lot, someone who didn't grow at all, someone who outworked everybody else on the side, and someone who didn't work at all. Somebody playing another sport, so their baseball pedigree went down. Someone who sacrificed all the rest and went all in on baseball and their stock went up. All kinds of differences, which is a reason for us to have evaluations. Also, it's the baseball appropriate way. You guys are going to get very used to doing evaluations in baseball or tryouts. You're going to end up doing it in high school. You've heard the term showcases, which is college showcases. Really, it's tryouts over and over and over again. So part of our objective is to train you so that you try out well, and then we plug you into our own tryouts. Then as you go to the high school tryouts, you have the right information, the right style of play, and you're able to stand out for the right reasons. So the placement process is going to start on MLK Day. And I'm going to end up drawing a diagram that I think will be more helpful for you guys to understand the process. So the season and schedule, the 14U lower division spring teams are going to be for February, March, April, May. Okay, June is not supposed to be there, that's a typo. So the lower division spring teams are February through May. The 14U upper division summer fall teams are going to be for summer, which is June, July. They're going to be off in August. In the past, in August, what did you have? August spring training through Headfirst, where we had a month of figuring out what team you're on. That's no more. So once you're in the upper division, then you don't have August spring training. August becomes an off month. So right now, as we go through MLK to spring teams for those who are in 8th grade, the 9th graders go into high school. As you come back, all of you guys end up in the same place, and that's on your upper division teams, or it's kind of transitional upper division teams. So you'll play June, July, off in August, then you play again in the fall on those same teams. I put important, see the board. I'm gonna wait a minute before I draw the diagram. And the diagram I think is gonna help you. I don't think you're too confused yet, so I'm gonna try to confuse you a little more before I can clarify using the board. Spring teams are gonna practice 2 times a week, play 2 tournaments a month, all very familiar to you. In summary, actually, I'll do it here. Maybe it's not as confusing as I think. Although when I write the diagram, it might get more confusing. So, we're currently in January. After that, okay, so I have it down here as a reference. So you're in your current teams, you go until you hit February. At that point, in early February, the high schoolers, so we're gonna call this February, March, April, and May. So this represents its own season. So the current teams are about to end because none of them are pure 8th grade teams or pure 9th grade teams. During the springtime, the 9th graders go to high school, and they go until, this is June, July, and September, October, November. So the 9th graders go to high school for the springtime. The 8th graders go to their spring teams. These teams are not necessarily, again, they both stop here. These groups, the high school group for the 9th graders at your respective high schools, or the spring teams for the 8th graders, those are not their permanent teams. Those are only spring teams. So at this point, these guys end up getting placed on the teams that they would be on for the summer and fall. This is their summer and fall, which is kind of your real team. We can also call it, you end up being in the upper division model. So you're starting off in the lower division. The spring remains lower division, two practices a week, 2 tournaments a month. Summer, you start to transition into the upper division. So at this point, I would say this is your more permanent team. But your spring team, February, March, April, May, it's a long time. That's 4 months of baseball. Now, for those who are going to high school, you guys are practicing probably 5 days a week. Given, if you go to San Ramon Valley, there are 20 to 25 guys on every team with 2 games per week, 7-inning games, 9 players play per team. The opportunity is this much. If you're going to Del Sal, it's even less because the rosters are higher. Del Sal had 32 players on the JV team last year, 10 of which were pitcher-onlys, 2 games a week. So you can figure out the playtime and opportunity that you have when you go to high school. Still, you have practices though, so you have a lot of opportunity to do well. Now, if you're in the starting lineup and at the front of the lineup, it's a good opportunity. If you're not, it's an awful opportunity. That's for the 9th graders. For the 8th graders, you have 2 practices a week, 2 tournaments a month. You're going to get playtime. You're going to get opportunity. Now the 9th graders are gone from the whole 14U circuit. By the way, there is no 15U or 16U baseball or 18U baseball during this time because everyone's in high school. So as the 14U, you are the major leagues of the spring travel ball circuit. You're the old guys on the circuit. So while these guys are getting after it in high school, you should be doing the same or more. The truth is more. You will be playing a more competitive schedule, more competition from the opposition, unless these guys are called up from the Frosh level to higher division. Frosh baseball ends up being somewhere around 14U AAA-ish, 14U AA to 14U AAA on average. Some of them are a little better, most of them are not. That's just what you can expect in high school baseball, which is nothing good or bad. I like high school baseball, that's just priming you for it. These guys, it's time to get to work, because once you come back in the summertime, then you are put together on your teams that we're gonna have at that point, and it's on. And it's not wait a while till I get good or get back in baseball shape. You need to be in baseball shape here. And then throughout the spring, and then into the summer and fall. So, where you guys end up I say this is more, it's not your real teams, it's more your permanent teams. Yeah, and basically there's division here because the ninth graders go to high school, the eighth graders do not, and then when they come back into the teams that are going to be their more permanent teams. So, your 14U team and coach details. So, part of it also is you are a 14U for the springtime, and then in the summer you are a 14U, and then in the fall you're a 15U. Except for on the tournament circuit, there's really not a lot of 15U. So you basically are a 16U. So you go into the summer as a 14U in the summer, then by the fall you're a 15U that's playing 16U baseball. So again, a little confusing, but that's a little bit of forward thinking. The coaches for the springtime, and again, just identifying terms. There's spring and then there's summer fall. The springtime, George Athen and Mike Barakat would be the respective coaches, both with a ton of baseball experience. Barakat's been in 14U for like 7 years or something like that, so he knows the 14U circuit very, very well. George has been coaching and doing all kinds of different levels, including this level for a while now. So obviously George is very equipped. So either way, what Head First boasts in terms of coaching, we feel there's not an equivalent elsewhere for the spring. Again, these teams are only for the spring. Offers are going to be made over the spring for your real or permanent teams. Again, for the ninth graders, based on MLK Day, we end up beginning to offer you guys sooner than later because you're not there for the spring. So the spring becomes the extended eval time for eighth graders. So the summer and fall teams will also be coached by both coaches, though the fall may have another coach in case of Barakat, as he typically rewinds to the 14U level in the fall, like this year. A lot of you guys started playing for Barakat in the fall, but he had a different group for the summer. So that group from last summer, his 14U group from last summer, as they became 15, actually went to George. And you guys ended up playing with, a lot of you guys ended up playing with and practicing with them. So, so Barakat in the past has had the group for the summer. He has had a summer-fall team, but he only takes it for the summer. So then our challenge, which is to get a highly qualified coach to end up running that team as they go into the fall. So some of these slides I inherit from the rest of the Head First management team. The finance, I know very, very little about what the whole thing looks like. It's my brother's slide, but I'm going to try to break it down for you. We're going to a new system called Kirikubby. From what I hear, it's many schools and child care businesses use it. It's very user-friendly. It allows you guys to manage your own account. I think it's something that's better for you guys and also better for my brother. And you can do it by your bank account or with credit card. You have your invoices. You can view your account. Just a better process than we did in the past. The spring cost, by the way, it's what we would call the base cost. The $375, by the way, is now a little higher because of Kirikubby. So the Kirikubby cost, it's a couple bucks or something that ends up going to Kirikubby. So the base cost is basically what you are currently doing. The summer, fall, so again, you guys end up going to high school. By the way, does it cost to play high school baseball? If I said spring players, we're going to have rosters of 20. We're going to have 2 games a week, some of which umpires are not going to show up. There's no guarantee of play time. I'm going to put the same guys out there all the time. Half of you, therefore, will get no play time, while half of you will get the majority. And there's a cost to do it. You guys would go, that's the worst deal I've ever heard, but that's what most of you guys are going to have in high school. And again, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just framing that's the reality of it. So the spring cost that you have for 8th graders is this. The spring cost for 9th graders is not with Head First, it's with your respective high school programs. And it varies at different levels depending on what school you go to. Going to the summer now, which all of you end up in the same summer-fall program. This is a new program that is somewhere between the lower division and upper division programs. So again, you don't quite have the upper division schedule or costs, but you have a little more than the lower division. The base cost, not including Kirikubby costs, for the upper division is basically $1,100 for the summer for 5 events, and then $1,125 for the fall, which is also 5 events. The 14U, current 14s, you're going to end up 15 by the fall. You're going to be less for the summer, so it's $900 for the summer, which is basically the 375 model, but there's added costs for travel. So you have a travel tournament that's included. And some of the travel that you've done in the past has been like, instead of 2 tournaments in one and travel's wrapped in, or some people do travel and there's extra cost for coach's cost and hotel and travel and blah, blah, blah. So in this case, you guys end up having travel tournament and it's part of the cost. The program cost is $900 for the summer, which is 4 events, including travel trip in the summer. And then you transition into the upper division cost. So again, you are the upper division model, it's just 1 tournament less and a couple $100 less than the upper division model. This slide is from George, who manages team pages. And team pages, I think you guys already know, it's a way when you go on the website just to go directly to the information that's relative to your page, including the stuff you need from George, the uniforms, what you need from West Coast, your team practice and event schedule, and then coach's contact information. The BBF banquet, I share this in all the meetings. We're excited. We're having the 5th annual awards banquet for BBF. BBF stands for the Berkovich Baseball Foundation. It's not related to Berkovich teams. It's the name of a foundation that helps to raise money for players with financial hardship. We're on February 7th this year at the Blackhawk Auto Museum, which I don't think I've ever been inside, but based on looking at the outside, I can't wait to go inside and see what the whole thing's about. Very fancy place that it's gonna be a very fun evening. We'd love to have you guys there as a guest. Tickets are on sale on the BBF website. Also, if you have access to like a cabin or a vacation home or timeshare or whatever stuff, then if you're blessed with and able to bless others with your blessings, then this is definitely, it goes to a good cause. In the past, I had a guy who said, Mario, sat in a meeting and said, Mario, I'm with the Coast Guard. Would a group like a yacht in Monterey Bay for 6, including food? And I was like, I think so. Like, I would. I definitely would bid on it, and I'm sure people would love it. And he's like, yeah, I would drive them around. I do this for some groups, and it's a way that I can give back and donate my time and access to what I have that typically people don't have. I was like, absolutely. So again, I throw it out there. If anybody has any interesting ideas, including vintage Star Wars toys or anything like that I will personally bid on pre-auction and try to get them from you, then please do. The what's next of it, number 1 is understanding content. So number 1 is just understanding, wait, what's the spring again? Okay, I'm on spring teams or high school teams. How do I get on the spring team? MLK Evaluation Day. By the way, during the high school year, all of your teams end up changing because we're going to recruit and or gather a lot of high school 14-year-olds during the season, which then brings up the question, do we create age peer teams? Do we create grade level teams? Some people that are currently a 14U average player go to high school and then go, no, I can't go back and play 14U. I need to go play 16U to get ready for varsity. And it's like, you were the 5th outfielder on the Frosh team. Like, you're not even close to varsity. Number 1, what you just need to do is get better. You don't need to play older or stronger or bigger or anything. You just need to get better and play at age level the way you always have, because that's how baseball goes. You put one foot in front of the other. The way that you know that you should move up is because you're hitting 600 with power numbers, throwing no-hitters, striking out everyone, and dominating. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in baseball, and therefore, typically, we don't end up playing up a lot of levels because baseball is very challenging at age level. If you wanted to play up, then you probably go back to Little League, and then you're a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and you probably are the best player on the 16-year-old team, because you will put up those kinds of numbers, but not just based on age, but based on performance. So again, it's always a challenge for us. When people end up going to high school, automatically they feel like they're playing older, but older doesn't necessarily imply better. So again, at Athenian, for example, which is in Danville, Danville has 3 high schools, Monte Vista, San Ramon Valley, and Athenian. Monte Vista and San Ramon are loaded with talent from top to bottom. There's high volume of good players in both those schools. Athenian has one team for the whole school. So somebody who's at the same player, the twins of equal talent, go to Monte Vista and Athenian, the Monte Vista player comes back and says, I'm fine playing at 14U, maybe 15U, depending on which team and the variables involved, which coach. The same player went to Athenian and wants to play at what level? 18U, because they just play varsity at Athenian. They have one team in the school. So now they come back and they want to play 18U, and they wouldn't think of lowering themselves to 16U, or they definitely wouldn't play 15 or 14, where their twin brother is content with it just based on what school they go to. Again, talent level ends up dictating. So for you guys, unless you have those compelling numbers, which in baseball is really hard to do, the same thing in basketball. If you go, I need to play up a couple of levels, you're probably averaging 30 or 40 with compelling rebound numbers, assists, and dunking on kids as a 7th or 8th grader, 9th grader, and doing all the rest, or else what justification is there for playing older? Well, I'm at school X and we have one team in the school, and therefore I played varsity basketball. I never got in a game or anything, but I was on the team and I was around older guys in practice. And again, people have these justifications for why they want to play up. My urge to you is just go with the flow of age level as long as you can, and then we can end up dictating within that. What's next for you guys? Understanding the information is number 1. Number 2, RSVP by email for MLK Day trial and evaluation. The first thing for us to know is the who. It's the chicken and the egg. So some people go, can you tell me, can you even sketch what team I'm going to be on? And I go, I actually don't know the information until I know who I'm considering. So are we having 1 team, 2 teams, or 4 teams? And then even after that, I would say, even if the Lord appeared and said, you have these 48 guys and you will have 4 teams. And I would say, thank you for the blessing, and I need to see them. Like, I need to evaluate them because things change quickly. So we need to do evaluations to figure out who ends up going where. Even within that, we go, I think we have 3 really, really good teams and 1 really not strong, 1 super beginner team. But the super beginner team has no catcher, and all the catchers are very compelling, to where if I have this team, we have no catcher on it. So now we got to start over again and reshuffle the whole thing. So again, on our side, this kind of stuff happens. We don't know all the information until we know who's in. And then even with the information of who's in numerically, then it depends on your guys' positions. A bunch of you guys end up going to high school now. They make you a pitcher only. Not so much freshman year, more sophomore year, maybe junior if you're lucky. And then you come back and go, I don't hit anymore. We're like, you love hitting. Like, you're good at it. Like, you've always been pretty good at it. Like, why are you not going to hit anymore? Well, I go to this school and they're not going to hit me anymore. Which I would look and go, that's them serving their purposes, which is okay. But in travel, it's different. It's 2 different worlds. In high school, if you go to a group, my brother and I went to Hayward High School, which is not the thriving school that it once was. We had a guy that transferred over who was an all-league selection. The school closed down, he came over. My brother and I are returning all-leaguers. He's an all-league pitcher. So he comes in, how many innings did he pitch his senior year? None, because there were 2 all-leaguers ahead of him that were already at the school. So for coach, it's like, all right, you're our relief pitcher, but Mario and Michael will go complete game literally every game. So he got to pitch no innings. And then he went on to pitch in college, but he didn't pitch in high school. Wrong place, wrong time. The school was serving its purpose of winning games relative to the school. And again, for you guys, take it with a grain of salt. Also with us, we try to spread around opportunity and give you opportunity, but I hear some of my own coaches going, that guy's not a pitcher. He's never going to be a pitcher. And I go, he's this big, but everything's clean. He doesn't throw hard, doesn't have nasty stuff, but everything's clean. He loves baseball. He's athletic, and he has a little bit of movement, and he can throw strikes. He's going to be a great 16U pitcher. And he's he's an old 14. So he's going to be a junior class in school, able to play 16U baseball. I guarantee he pitches when he's a 16U travel ball. Unless the same kid was a 16-year-old wanting to play 18U. Then he wouldn't be a pitcher. But again, the mindset of different coaches, we all see it differently. So for you guys, stick with the program is the key. So you want to RSVP for tryouts, attend MLK Day evals, receive placement information for spring if you're an 8th grader. If you're a 9th grader, we are not dealing with spring. We're dealing with summer, fall. Unless something doesn't go right in high school and then you end up going back into the spring, then you just jump back onto a team. 9th graders, you're committing to your summer, fall team placement. 8th graders, you're committing to your spring team placement, compete at a high level in the spring, and then you're receiving your summer, fall placement, which is the same as what the 9th graders are doing sooner. All players end up in their summer, fall teams after the spring. So again, spring becomes a variable time. Again, we gather a lot of players. Also, what happens in 14U in the spring, a lot of other programs don't have the forethought. They don't have a full house in the middle of, or the end of December, talking about next summer and next fall and next spring. They're just going, they are currently going, we have a team, not multiple teams. We have 8th and 9th graders. We're hoping for the best come February. And the players on the team and the families are following the lead of the leadership of that team or organization, and they're hoping that it works out well. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. And then what happens, the team ends up folding, and where do the players go? Well, they hear that Head First has a couple teams and that it's solid, they have an indoor facility, they have a place to practice, they've done it for a while, and they hear a good thing from people, and then we end up getting an influx of players, and that happens over the spring. It is the reality every year at 14U because most of the teams end up folding because the 14U teams are comprised of 8th and 9th, and they have to do something. Our do something is what you've just heard in the spring until we can get back to the summertime. And there's more players coming. So the urge to you guys is get this information RSVP right away, be on point for the trial. Also, as you guys have special requests, like we want you to be happy. So if there's certain players that you would love to play for or certain teams, it doesn't mean we can always make it happen. But if there's certain players that you want to play with, certain coaches or ones that you don't want to, then we want to have all the information on the front side so that we can make the right decisions. Definitely, it's better on the front side than the back side where we have to go and change rosters. Okay, thanks for coming. We can turn off the video and go to questions and answers.